Joining us now is our company, the president of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton, and former White House advisor to President Trump, as well as Salem radio host Seb Gorka. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Thank you.
All right, Seb, I want to start with you real quick. Jack Dorsey put out a statement today, via Twitter, of course, that's a rant justifying his banning of Trump. And he admits that it sets a precedent that says, quote, having to take these actions fragment the public conversation. They divide us. They limit the potential for clarification, redemption, and learning, and set a precedent I feel is dangerous. The power of an individual or corporation has over part of the global conversation. Seb, I don't know if Jack Dorsey knows this, but he's in charge. If he thinks this is setting a dangerous precedent, he might want to walk down the hall or do a virtual Zoom with somebody and tell them that he's in charge and they can undo it. I feel like they're trying to have it both ways, ban President Trump and then come out and say, but this is a bad thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is breaking news to you guys, but I've just gone on my Twitter feed. I've only lost 90,000 followers in the last 6 days. So there's no purge, don't worry about it. And James O'Keefe at Veritas has posted a video of Jack Dorsey. Now, this is incredible. This is a real news item, breaking news. So we've been told that there's this strange Rasputin-looking guy. He's not really in control. He may have founded it, and he goes to testify. Well, now we know he's a liar. I've watched the video in the break, and he says the following, quote, this is Jack Dorsey. We are focused on one account at real Donald Trump right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account, and it's going to go on for much longer. This is a purge, and not based upon violence, because I was there in the front row in front of the president's speech. He said, go to the Congress peacefully. You had that timeline at the front of the show. You can't incite violence if the speech is still going on and they're already breaking into Congress. Jack Dorsey lied to Congress. He perjured himself, and Veritas has the goods. And we have to be prepared for more attempts to purge conservatives.
Well, Seb, they banned him because they said of future violence that might be caused. It wasn't actually for a violent tweet, which is interesting. But, Tom, I want to get your take on this. Sean and I were talking about it earlier. In essence, Trump's Twitter account being deleted is deleting a part of history, the record of his presidency, of the statements that he made on there. Isn't that a problem?
It sure is. The president was, at least personally, the most transparent president in American history. We always knew what he was thinking, what he wanted to do, more or less, through his Twitter feed. And obviously, as you point out, that's a record. But the left doesn't care about this. They don't support the First Amendment. They really never have, at least the organized left. So when they say this is an awful precedent, well, the precedent has long been set. This is not new. The left doesn't like conservatives speaking. And where possible, they try to conflate conservative speech with violence. They did it with the Tea Party movement. They did it with those complaining about the lockdowns. Now, in the case of the Capitol riots, there was violence conflated with that Trump march. He didn't incite violence. In fact, his calls for peace were deleted by Twitter. His saying he wouldn't attend the inaugural, which goes to Lindsay's point, which is a newsworthy item. How is that inciting violence? He's answering a question the public and the media had. Yeah. I've been locked out of Twitter.
Well, I want to touch on this because you actually have experience getting locked out of Twitter, and you got locked out for saying hydroxychloroquine, which is an FDA-approved drug, is safe. I think it's funny because I was looking today. CNN actually had a correction and a story. They confused a crowbar with an energy bar, and they get to keep their platform on Twitter. This is not a joke. They literally wrote that when Ted Lieu, a congressman from California, who we highlighted earlier, was running out of his office, he grabbed a crowbar. Then they had to update the story saying, no, it wasn't a crowbar, it was an energy bar. I mean, anyone can make that mistake, right? A crowbar looks just like an energy bar. I eat them all the time. If Twitter can ban the Post, why should they hold CNN to the same standard, Tom?
Well, because they don't have a standard. I mean, the standard is opposing conservative speech. I mean, it's not a double standard. It's a very clear standard. They want to suppress conservative speech. I've been locked out for a tweet the specific language of which has been approved by Twitter, meaning someone complained about it before and they said it was not found to be in violation of the rules. They told me if I take it down, I'm still knocked off for 7 days. I've appealed it, which is now going on day 7, that appeal. How complicated is the issue? I've lost 150,000 followers. Judicial Watch separately has lost a government watchdog group. They're attacking us. 10% of our followers have been knocked off. And as Seb highlighted, it's obviously part of a plan.
You know, I've only lost 50. Now I feel like a wuss.
I know, this is like a one-up.
It's a big deal. Now I see you guys, and I'm like, all right, maybe I shouldn't be saying
I won't
anything.
even say how many I've lost, or I'll definitely lose this battle.
But if it's 10% of your followers, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Everyone, you know, when you're, you know, I'm trying to educate people. Judicial Watch is trying to educate people, and they don't want us to do it. You've got prior restraint going on at YouTube. The president should ask the Federal Trade Commission and the Securities Exchange Commission and the Justice Department to investigate these censorship decisions, because as Seb has highlighted and the evidence shows, they're lying about what they're doing. And when you lie and you're a publicly traded corporation, you get into business fraud, advertising fraud, and securities fraud. That ought to be Section 230 doesn't allow you to engage in business fraud.
I want to get Seb in here and his take too, Tom. Quick, I want to get Seb's take before we run out of time. Go ahead, Seb.
It's not just that. Look, as a guy who spent 6 years in the Defense Department teaching irregular warfare and how you deal with real insurgencies and millions of people who actually have a grievance, shutting down debate is the last thing you do. That man had 88 million followers. You're not going to make things better by shutting down free speech. And this is the irony of the left, who say every single day they're the tolerant ones. No, they are more fascistic every single day.
Seb, I only have like 20 seconds left, but I want to, in all seriousness, you communicate for a living through the radio. You use Twitter extensively. Are you concerned about yourself getting banned? Tom just mentioned him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had 6 videos deleted on YouTube in the last week, simply because they were about the election.
Yeah.
The people who preach tolerance are the most intolerant, and it's going to get worse when Joe Biden gets sworn in 6 days' time.
100%. Gentlemen, as always, you are so insightful. Thank you for coming back on, and look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right.